It's a brief discussion on the petroleum pipelines in your community. This is the map of the United States and all the oil pipelines that we have. From 2010 to 2020, the industry had built tens of thousands of miles of new oil pipelines from North Dakota to Texas to Appalachia. This increased the petroleum production by 60%. And one of the main uses of the oil is for electrical power production. And as of June 4th, 2024, the Southern Power Companies actually decided to add 33,000 megawatts to their power plants, which means more pipelines and possibly endangering more people. Federal standards for a main pipeline for the petroleum products is to be buried at least 24 inches below the ground. However, on private land, they must be at least 12 inches below, and where they have streets and roads, it should be at least 18 inches below, even though private land can have the same weight bearing as streets and roads because of agriculture um, equipment such as tractors. And the pipeline construction regulations are all decided through local governments, which means that the oil companies try to work with local small governments to be able to have influence over the safety factors. And the pipeline routings are actually disproportionately put on to tribal lands for indigenous people and for communities of color. They intentionally target communities that have residents that with lack of financial wealth and also lack of political influence. And pipelines are placed where populations are marginalized by systematic racism and white supremacy. Now, how safe are these oil pipelines? Well, throughout the pipelines, there are periodic compressor stations which push the product through the pipelines. However, they can also release cancer causing pollutants to the residents in the communities. And then, as pipelines age and start to fail, they can cause toxic oil leaks, which cause health risks for both the residents in the community and for cleanup workers. In 2019, there were 316 reported incidents of fatality, explosion, and significant oil spills. And that's almost one for every day of that year. And these are only the ones that were reported. The ones that were not reported are not counted. And in 2013, ExxonMobil Pegasus spill, which took place in Mayflower, Arkansas, there were over 200,000 gallons filling the streets that also combined with the solvents they used to clear the spill, which caused a toxic cocktail that exposed all the residents to toxic fumes. And there were hundreds of reports of migraines, extreme coughs, burning lungs, swollen eyes, diarrhea, and many other health conditions. Now, what about Alabama? Since 1986, Alabama has had 97 pipeline disasters that caused 15 fatalities and 42 injuries, and also $29.1 million of property damage. What has caused this? That is because they have used the outside in versus inside out, according to the Alabama Fire College. That's the view that they would have the local governments and the oil industry to decide the safety issues and safety practices and policies without consulting the first responders. Therefore, they were pretty much telling the first responders what to do and what training they should have instead of working with them. And because of that, many of the first responders in the state of Alabama don't see the need or even to have a want for the training. As a result of this, we have many inexperienced Alabama firefighters and first responders in pipeline disasters and little or no training. So that's the hazards, but then aren't there supposed to be economic benefits from the pipelines, bringing in new jobs? Well, in Dakota Access Pipeline, There were 10,000 construction jobs produced over a 2-year period. However, after that 2-year period ended and they finished the pipeline, only 52 workers got permanent jobs. In the Keystone XL pipeline, there were 4,000 construction jobs during the construction process. However, once the pipeline was finished, they only had 40 permanent jobs for workers. And what were they paid nationally? Pipeline construction workers get paid $18 an hour in Alabama and $16 an hour. And remember, that's only for about a 2-year period. So are there alternatives? And yes, there are. There are 3 million clean energy jobs in all 50 states, including software development, engineer, and the wind technicians, solar installers, renewable operation analysts, and also construction managers, and many, many, many more. But are there alternatives to the pipeline itself? Yes, there are. There are also petroleum trains that can transport petroleum products across the country. Also, petroleum barges that can take them down waterways. And there are petroleum trucks that can not just transport the products, but also add jobs to our employment market and also possibly produce new businesses that can improve the transportation of the petroleum products. So together, we can work together to work for better and greener and cleaner communities without the hazards of petroleum pipelines for a healthy community. Thank you.